You know how in the Bible Jesus says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they're doing." And yes, unconsciousness is what causes evil on this planet. And it's so interesting how sometimes you think a person is a certain way, and all of a sudden something happens and their true colors get revealed. And we all have the light and dark inside of ourselves. So the more one shines, the more you warm and delight others with your radiance. But at the same time, at one point, you also eliminate their shadows. And usually, that's not something people want to look at and work through and get the lessons from going through the dark caves. So they like to project them onto the person who eliminated the shadows. And that's been my life experience big time. And before I didn't know what was happening, but now I'm aware. And it's really sad to see when all you've been doing is to encourage people and lift them up and elevate them, to realize that they actually were comparing and comparing themselves to and competing with you, and actually creating limiting stories for you so they could make themselves feel better about themselves. And it's a tough pill to swallow, but you swallow it because what's there to do, right? And then all you can do is actually pray for their forgiveness and send them love, because I realized that it's coming from a deep seated feeling of unworthiness and lack of self love. And that's why people live in those stories of lack, limitation, jealousy, envy, resentment, and try to put others down to make themselves feel up and better. And when we understand that, all we can do is send unconditional love and put the necessary boundaries in place. And the reason I tell you this alive, forgive them, mother, for they know not what they're doing, is because I'm thinking this is what we do to nature all the time. We take nature for granted, we take the feminine for granted, we take the loving, kind person who always wishes the best for us for granted, and we expect that they're supposed to do that for us and that they owe us something, like, we're entitled to their energy. And it's like, no, when you start to mistreat the loving, kind person, when the loving, kind person realizes that they pour and pour into you, but you never pour back, and actually you try to steal from them, that loving and kind person has the right to be like, enough. And nature has been doing that to us. Nature has been like, enough, because we deplete nature's resources. We don't treat nature with respect and kindness for all of the things that nature gives us for free, which we couldn't live without. And when we look at things objectively, it's like, how could you ever possibly throw trash in nature? How could you ever possibly be cruel to animals? How could you ever possibly not treat nature with respect and reverence? Because if it's not for nature, we're not going to be here. Somehow it makes me think of Wall-E, the movie, which has been forever since I've seen it. But we don't want our planet to turn into a big junkyard. And if we don't want that, we're each responsible of doing the right thing, educating ourselves what the right thing is. And also, when we see others not doing the right thing, to speak up and teach. And not from a place of, I'm better than you or anything like that, but from a place of, hey, in case you don't know, if you throw plastic in the ocean, animals get caught in it and they suffer, and you're polluting the ecosystem. So maybe don't. And if a person is not able to hear that and take responsibility for their actions, nature is going to get back to them. Because nature doesn't need us to survive, we need nature to survive. So that's why I say, forgive the mother, for they know not what they're doing. And it's the same when you badmouth somebody, when you talk behind their back, when you focus on imaginary flaws instead of on their accomplishments, when you don't celebrate them, you're not taking away from them. You're taking away from yourself. Because ultimately, we're one. And when you focus on negative things, when you focus on malice, it all comes back, and that's what karma is. Because the thoughts and the feelings we send out are like boomerangs. So let's be more conscious and aware. If you want to, that's where we're all going. And realize the impact that we have on one another and everything. And get back in touch with who we truly are, reconnect with ourselves and nature and everything else. And remember how to live in harmony and actually thrive.